Alright, so with the mouthpiece, we basically have a high-powered pistol, which can do really, really good single-target damage. With the copy that was provided to me by Canoe, thank you so much. He also sent me screenshots of the perk, so I can show that on screen now in case you guys don't like the Fortnite DB format. I don't have a copy myself, so I am going to have to use this site, which I think is very useful, but thank you to him for providing me this copy. You can see that it's doing really, really good damage whenever I'm headshotting, hitting crits. It's very good against single-target damage. However, it completely fails against crowds of zombies. I could not finish an encampment without dying or training like crazy like I was doing COD zombies, because the area of effect damage on this thing is all but null. You don't have a mag size perk, you're limited to 6 shots, and it's really, really good against single targets, as I mentioned, but it fails in crowds. So I don't really know what to do with this weapon, honestly. It's not good enough for crowd clearing to be a primary, but it's not strong enough single target damage to necessarily be a secondary. I could imagine if you were using it for the bigger targets and then like a launcher was meant to clean up, or you're using an ability based loadout like Teddy or Shockwave. If you were using an Outlander to buff your pistol damage, that could actually make sense to me, but you're really gonna have to figure out something creative to make this weapon work. Now, if you're trying to perk this thing, we do actually have a couple of interesting ways to go. First and foremost, this thing has triple headshot damage. You could go headshot, and then down here, I think you need to, down here, the 5th perk, you can put another headshot perk, throw on a reload speed here, and you're good to go. Now, I wouldn't recommend this because that's probably like the highest single target damage you can get. I mean, seriously, that might even be better than crit, because you will be consistently hitting headshots every single time, assuming your accuracy is amazing, and you'll be getting a crap ton of extra damage. Now, unfortunately, that's never going to happen for anybody. I don't care how perfect at the game you are, unless you're literally aimbotting, you're going to miss a lot of headshots. Enemies are going to turn around, their hitboxes are going to be weird, you might lag, a shielder will get in the way, a riot husky will happen, you'll get swarmed by zombies. Headshot is like the theoretical best, but unfortunately it's not exactly viable. One cornerstone I will recommend is a reload perk here. You do have a 2.5 second downtime in between your reloads, and that's kind of a lot. Like I mentioned, you have 6 bullets and you can't get any more than that, so 2.5 seconds is going to be a very, very common reload speed that you're going to have to be putting up with, and making that as short as possible is frankly necessary, and I do stand by that, considering this is your only other crit damage spot. So if you want to go crit rating double crit damage, you're going to have to go away with a reload perk. So I still recommend a reload perk anyway. This is kind of the hybrid build we went with, headshot, crit rating, crit damage. I thought that was okay, but I think a damage perk might be better, well-rounded. You know, it is only 10% less damage, but that headshot multiplier kicks pretty hard, so it's not exactly apples to apples. My point is 30% damage all around is a lot more trustworthy than only getting a bonus when you're hitting in the head. As for the best perks, it depends on your playstyle. If you're really accurate and you want to go for something crazy, triple headshot is probably the best way to go. If you want to go all crit and you want to maximize your damage output that way, I would recommend double crit damage, crit rating, as you'll see here, but I don't really think you're going to win out in the long run, as that reload will make you suffer in your total damage output. As for the crit rating, I never recommend double crit rating. It is always better to just have a damage perk rather than crit rating. It will not help your overall DPS, and that's something else that I want to mention. Because this is a single target, low mag size weapon, you are going to need to be eliminating your enemies as fast as possible. So if you're not one-shotting basic zombies without a crit, then you're going to suffer greatly in your overall effectiveness, because as I mentioned, the crowd clearing is weak. You need to be eliminating enemies as fast as possible. So if you're not one-shotting, you're basically going to be taking twice as many shots for half the enemies, and it's really not a good way to go. What I'm saying is, you might even want to consider a triple damage loadout. Now, I know that that'll be less damage output than a crit build, but triple damage will at least ensure that you're going to one-shot some of the smaller zombies, and a lot of this right here depends on the level of your weapon, the power level of you and yourself, and the loadout you're using and your teammates. If you can run a crit rating, crit damage build while having that damage perk down there, and you're still one-shotting enemies, then hey, you'll be alright, and you can enjoy that extra crit damage on those bigger targets. Now, a great way to buff your damage even further is matching that 6 perk. So I think the example we had in game was damage to fire enemies. I think he gave me a water copy. So in this case, you cannot get physical and energy. I can show this with Canoe's screenshot right here. You cannot get physical or energy on these Art Deco weapons, unfortunately. So what I always recommend is matching to the 6 perk. If you have damage to fire enemies, run it water. If you have damage to nature enemies, for example, let me see, nature enemies, then you might want to go fire, because you'll be doing extra damage to nature. This weapon will never be doing more damage than matching that bottom 6 perk. So as we had it in game, I think he had a damage to fire copy, so we gave it water. This will be hitting as hard as possible and worked out pretty well. It is a fairly accurate weapon, so if your accuracy is okay, then you might be able to hit some pretty consistent headshots, but other than that, I I don't really know what to do with this weapon, like I said. I do, however, believe if you really want to make this weapon work, that it could be okay. Like I said, substitute some of that range damage with like a seismic smash, throw down a Teddy, maybe a Outlander shock tower build. I don't really know. You're going to want to be buffing your pistol damage, but you might want to give it some sort of ability-based extra damage. I don't know. You'd have to be creative. If you do want to make the best possible pistol loadout, I'll link my video in the description below. It is a bit dated in the sense that a lot of these heroes were updated to also affect SMG damage. However, my actual recommendations have not changed at all, so I'm still going to link that video down below if you guys want to build a great pistol loadout. That's it for me, guys. If you guys want to support the channel, feel free to use code Mista at your checkout. God forbid if they ever release the Art Deco llamas for V-Bucks again, then hey, if you want to support my channel, there you go. If you guys want to become a channel member, get some nice perks. You guys can see them on screen right there. You know, get some emotes in the stream chat, roll in our Discord, etc., etc. You guys can click the join button down below or the member link in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a nice day. And then